There's less than a week left until the Beastmaster exam, and the next day they're going to have a small assessment. Everyone already has contracts with their first beasts, so the teacher said they should rest that day and start preparing. With the exam approaching, some students are really nervous because with the abilities they have, it's hard to become an apprentice. A blonde kid with spiky Super Saiyan hair wants to get into a good school since his abilities are above average. The boy next to him isn't that confident and thinks he'll end up as a regular person. The one who seems to be our protagonist is thinking about all this. He doesn't know how he's supposed to fit into this story since he's a time traveler. Everything happened a week ago. Thanks to this body's memories, he understood the world he lives in. Hundreds of years ago, a catastrophe occurred and several beasts appeared from a dimensional portal. Humanity tried to fight them, and during the conflict, they learned how to tame these creatures. That's how the beast hammer profession was born, completely reshaping reality. Beast hammers gained huge notoriety in the world, and the biggest dream of the youth here is to become a great spiritual master. At 18, young people form a contract with their first beast. The stronger their spiritual power, the stronger the beast they contract. But none of that applies to our boy, because this body already formed its first contract with a tiny, extremely cute, snowball-like creature that wouldn't hurt a soul. Besides not being lethal at all, it can evolve, so this young man's destiny is to live an ordinary life. Other time travelers end up with more luck. Our boy has no idea how he ended up in this situation. A student approaches him, saying that living as a regular person is actually pretty good, since you don't have to take unnecessary risks. They mock him, saying his little snowball could help sell ice cream. That irritates our protagonist. This situation seems to have activated the system that came with him, and he feels confused, wondering why the system took so long to load. Now he starts celebrating, because this is going to change his life completely. The first thing he does is check his status window. Whenever he achieves something, he receives rewards. He also checks Snowball stats. When it reaches 100% growth, Snowball will evolve, which is really interesting, because he believed evolution was impossible for it. The first evolution path he can choose is the giant path, focused on physical combat and ice element mastery, reaching up to rank 5. The other path is the queen path, focused entirely on ice mastery, and it can reach king rank. He's wondering if this is some kind of secret evolution route. Looks like you won't need to set up a little stand to sell ice cream after all, since the queen path can reach higher levels. That's the one he'll choose. He decides to use some achievement points to help his creature evolve. Right now, he can only claim one reward, using 100 points to strengthen Snowball. Pointing his hand at it, the process finally begins. Slowly, Snowball starts to strengthen. He succeeds. Snowball is now at stage 2, which fills him with excitement. Even so, not much has changed in the little creature. He still needs to get Ice Essence and Jade Spirit minus 20 units of the first item, and just one of the second. Nobody would ever imagine those materials would make Snowball evolve. Now he needs to earn some money to buy those materials, and a few boys mock him. Our protagonist tells Snowball not to worry about their comments, because when it's time for the test, they'll do just fine. It seems the boy who was mocking our guy is incredibly jealous and didn't like being ignored. He also belongs to a very influential family in the region, and our protagonist knows he should avoid trouble with the Zhang family. The jealous boy says they'll soon find out who the real trash is. Those words end up triggering an unexpected reaction. The jealous boy and his friends start mocking even more, convinced that anything is impossible for our protagonist. After that humiliation session, a blonde girl shows up to scold Zhang. Her name is Guan, and the boys say they're not afraid of someone they consider trash like our guy. Entering them once again, our boy leaves. There's no point arguing with idiots. He needs to go to the pet store to buy some items, and the girl can go with him if she wants. Our boy quickly realizes these items are really expensive. Months of savings disappear in just a few minutes. The blonde asks if he'd like to have dinner at her house, because the invitation is from her mother. She also seems to have some kind of feeling for him, and wants to know if he can accompany her for tomorrow's exam. He says yes, since he also has to take the same test, which makes the blonde extremely happy. They say goodbye, but she's clearly excited for the next day. Inside his home, our boy realizes Snowball's evolution is going to be a very expensive process. He immediately gives the items to be absorbed. The process happens quickly, and Snowball's body starts to grow. Then a bright light completely blinds him. Snowball's form begins to change, and to his surprise, Snowball now has a human body. She's become a small girl. With the rank 2 Ice Crystal Spirit, this time the creature can attack. Our boy is thrilled with this outcome since now, and he can actually pass the exam. He's still stunned that Snowball jumped an entire level. The average among students is for their creatures to be in stage 5 of the first level, which makes this even more impressive. Just by standing near Snowball, he can feel a cold she emits. Her strength definitely increased. More than expected. If the system hadn't revealed what Snowball needed, no one would ever spend such expensive materials on such a weak creature. What he did was the right gamble. Spiritual crystals boost the pet's spiritual power, while the strength crystal boosts the user's power. Our boy immediately puts the ingredients in his mouth. In seconds, the transformation starts. Now, he feels power he never had before, his physical and spiritual strength rising. He doesn't feel as cold anymore. Instead, he feels his strength overflowing. Even if he doesn't need to fight, strength is only a problem for those who don't have it. In case of danger, he'll know how to handle himself. While he's still thinking about all this, Snowball hugs his leg. It's time to use all the achievement points so Snowball can become even stronger, reaching stage 4 of level 2. The evaluation the next day is definitely going to surprise a lot of people. Now, the boy walks casually through the streets with his friend. She wants to know if he's prepared for the exam, and he says he needs that qualification, too. She seems to really like how enthusiastic he is, noticing the motivation he's showing. She never imagined he'd have the courage to do something like this. Our protagonist says people are always changing. Besides, she has no idea that he's a transmigrator. Some girls notice that the talented third-year student is there. They're talking about the blonde who's completely in love with our protagonist, saying she's always walking around with that loser. One of the girls heard that a popular guy had confessed to the blonde and got rejected. Out of jealousy, she said she couldn't understand what was so interesting about her. Our boy just quietly watches all that gossip. Finally, it's revealed the two are cousins, and because she's so talented, she has lots of admirers and plenty of haters, too. Worried, the blonde wants to know if our boy is really going to use Snowball in the exam. He confirms it, saying Snowball shouldn't be underestimated, hugging him in a way that looks dangerously affectionate and extremely questionable in Alabama. She says that if they both pass, they're going to celebrate. While they're practically crushing our protagonist with that over-the-top affection, she says there's a shock she wants to visit. Their moment gets interrupted by a pair of background characters. The ugly girl accuses the blonde of stealing her boyfriend. Annoyed by the accusation, the blonde immediately asks who these two even are and who the boyfriend is supposed to be. The ugly girl says her boyfriend is Zhao Hong, but the blonde can barely remember who that guy even is and says she's not interested in him. Never was. The ugly girl refuses to believe it, saying her boyfriend has been reduced. With no time to waste in that place, the blonde drags our protagonist by the hand because they have more important things to do. At that moment, the other background character grabs him by the shoulder, saying he didn't give permission for them to leave, and if he keeps seeing his cousin being disrespected, he'll have to disrespect someone too. Showing an extremely murderous aura, the blonde strongly recommends that the jerk take his hand off her cousin. He instantly feels an overwhelming pressure. Instead of backing off, he chooses the most violent option, trying to punch a woman. But he gets completely stopped by our protagonist, something his cousin wasn't expecting. The ugly girl tells her cousin to stop messing around because everyone knows that guy is a loser. The jerk tries to throw some insults, but he can't stop sweating because he felt the strength in our boy's hand, who's clearly about to do something interesting. He slams his fist into the guy's stomach with brutal force. The jerk flies through the air like a garbage bag, shocking the ugly girl. While the guy struggles to stand up, our boy walks toward him. He says he's the blonde's cousin, and if the jerk wants to do anything to her, they'll have to deal with him first. At that moment, the background character starts to soil himself little by little, and the cousin of our protagonist is stunned by that show of strength. It was so intense, her whole body reacted. Not even our boy expected to get that much stronger after using those items. And since the humiliation session wasn't enough, the blonde jerk decides to attack. This time, he's going to use his spiritual energy. He manifests a kind of blue flame-like glow in front of all of them. But watching closely, neither our protagonist nor his cousin looks impressed. Standing before them is a ghost wolf that's still only rank 2. Fully convinced of his wolf's power, the jerk asks if they really want to challenge him. Snowball is still ranked 1, but already reached stage 7. Her chances in that fight aren't great, and our boy is already thinking of alternatives, but his cousin chooses violence. Before she can act, she sees our protagonist step in her way, which surprises her a lot. She wants to know if he's really going to put Snowball into a fight, but he doesn't want her to get hurt, because that would affect her evaluation, so he'll handle the situation himself. The ugly girl starts smiling mockingly, convinced our protagonist has lost his mind, because the worst student in the whole city is eager to learn a violent lesson. The guy who will soon be bald ordered his wolf to attack. Meanwhile, our protagonist is calling Snowball over for a violence session. A bright flash appears in front of the wolf. The creature is immediately confused because its entire body is now freezing over. In the middle of all that ice, little Snowball appears, and right in front of her, the ghost wolf is completely frozen solid. These actions leave the background characters speechless. This should be absolutely impossible. Even the protagonist's cousin is wondering if that really is Snowball standing there. Our protagonist confirms that little Snowball managed to evolve. The poor background character tries giving commands to his ghost wolf, but the creature doesn't move an inch. Snowball is no longer just a snowball. She's become an ice spirit, and showing her overwhelming power, she completely destroys the wolf's body. Its remains scatter all over the ground, leaving its owner furious. He can't accept being defeated by mere students. Their beast should only be around stage man of rank 1 at best. Yet, his wolf is dead. The ugly girl wants to know what they should do now, and the guy says he didn't expect to fight a high-class creature. It's time to run. But our protagonist releases a dark aura and asks if he gave them permission to run. They're immediately consumed by fear. They're completely defenseless against what that ice spirit can do. This forces the background character to make the most rational decision of his entire life. Completely humiliated, he bows to our protagonist and apologizes for everything he caused, admitting his mistakes. But our boy says he should apologize to someone else. The background character instantly turns and bows to the protagonist's cousin, begging forgiveness for the huge mess he created. The ugly girl still doesn't understand the reality of what's happening. Trying to snap her cousin out of it, she ends up getting slapped. He tells her to apologize too. Faced with this family issue, the cousin just tells them to leave already. They wasted enough time. With the fight finished, our protagonist walks over to the ice spirit and gives her a little pat, while watching the two idiots run away in a panic. His cousin is genuinely excited by what she just saw and wants to know how he managed to do something that cool. The ice spirit's power is indeed impressive, but since their time is short, he says they'll talk about it later. They need to take the exam. Finally, they arrive at the Imperial Beast Association. Many students are amazed by what they see there. There's a huge monument called the Origin Stone. It's much bigger than what they saw in the books, and some want to know what makes it so special. This is the last exam of the year, and some people will lose their qualification forever, while others will get into the academy and live completely different lives. With all the students gathered, a door opens at the back of the room. A man with an extremely ugly beard greets everyone. He says that they've all received small bronze coins with the words low, medium, high, and superior. These coins are the key to entering the Origin Stone's dimension. They need to choose the difficulty of the challenge they'll face. The harder it is, the better the rewards. He then tells them to look carefully at the screen built into the stone. At the highest difficulty, the beast growth rate is 30%, and it's possible to obtain a second creature, among other benefits. Many students are excited about the rewards, and some are thinking about choosing the highest difficulty. Our boy's cousin wants to know which difficulty he'll pick now. But the old bearded man has a piece of advice for everyone. The choice will determine their development forever, and they should select a difficulty that fits their current level. The cousin studies her coin very carefully, as if unsure of what to choose. Most students go for the lowest difficulty. Only one chooses hard, and of course our protagonist chooses superior. This immediately makes the background characters start mocking whoever made that choice, saying the person must be delusional, and naturally it was our boy. They say that whoever picks the superior difficulty will never be able to take the test again. The cousin notices what happened. Shocked, she rushes over to ask him if he really chose the superior difficulty. If he fails, he won't get another chance this year. The background characters mock him even more, but our boy says he knows exactly what he's doing. These poor NPCs with limited screen time showed up just to belittle him. Even the teacher walks over and asks if he didn't hear the instructions. Students need to choose carefully. Only then does our protagonist say he made his decision. After thinking deeply about it, filled with disbelief, the hideously bearded teacher asked if he truly believes he can pass the superior difficulty. Overflowing with conviction, our boy says yes. The teacher ends up liking the kid's arrogance. He already gave his warning, but he can't stop children from playing with fire. Now that everyone has made their choice, he finally gives the main announcement. The test begins, and everyone must take their positions. The students sit in the hall, and mysterious energy starts flowing from the stone, making the portal grow larger. The same mysterious energy surrounds all the students, transporting them to another dimension. Meanwhile, the teacher is trying to memorize our protagonist's name. In that other realm, our boy appears in some kind of arena. He gets up carefully, realizing he's truly inside the virtual dimension of the origin stone. The students have been informed that any injuries suffered inside that dimension won't affect their real bodies. This fills him with confidence. He doesn't need to worry about anything. At that moment, the system informs him that he has an unclaimed achievement, his first victory. He's surprised he can use the system here, too. His reward is 100 achievement points and a spiritual crystal. He immediately claims them. Thanks to that, he boosts his spiritual attribute, and Snowball's growth rate jumps to 44%. And since he's tired of calling her Snowball, from now on she's Popsicle. With this power-up, our protagonist's chances of victory skyrocket to indecent levels. He waits for what happens next in the arena, then a door opens. A large and threatening creature approaches them. A fire lizard, still rank 1. Our boy expected something harder and underestimates the lizard's strength, but he's caught off guard by a huge blast of fire. He immediately orders Popsicle to freeze it. Ice crystals are produced and instantly launch toward the incoming flames. The clash between water and fire creates a huge cloud of smoke immediately. When it clears, it becomes obvious the fire lizard has already been sent to its own ice cave. Our boy is really surprised by how strong his attack became. There are a total of 5 levels in this difficulty, and he needs to keep overcoming each challenge. The next creature he faces resembles a mummy. Just like the fire lizard, it's also rank 1. For other challengers, this might be a bit difficult, but for our protagonist, it's nothing more than playtime. Outside, the teacher watches everything carefully. Our boy defeated the mummy so quickly that we didn't even get to see what it was capable of. Suspicious of the kid's potential, the teacher thinks maybe ice attributes gave him an advantage. So far, the real challenge is still coming. This time, the gate that opens for our protagonist looks like the bars of a prison. A creature made of wood approaches, its eyes large and unsettling. It's a plant-type beast, already rank 2. The teacher believes that although our protagonist creature is rank 2 as well, it probably hasn't passed stage 1, unlike the enemy creature which is stage 2, so he assumes our boy will lose. The monster rushes forward, ready to end the fight immediately, but it doesn't notice Popsicle's eyes glowing with a threatening light. Our boy realizes that because of the attribute disadvantage, ice alone won't be enough. The wooden creature uses its branches to attack viciously, managing to grab Popsicle's entire body. Now that she's restrained, the monster moves in to finish the battle. Watching from outside, the teacher feels confident his prediction was right. This is the end for the kid, but within seconds he realizes he's completely wrong. Even though the creature is plant type, its body begins to freeze. That's the domain of extreme cold, Popsicle's ability. Our boys' team doesn't rely on just one skill. It's time to counterattack. Several ice spears are launched toward the monster, forcing it to shield its head with its arms, while surrounded by a massive amount of ice. As the monster tries to figure out what to do. Next, more ice forms behind it, piercing straight through its body in a brutal strike. With the enemy defeated, our protagonist clears another level. Only 2 more enemies remain before he completely annihilates the challenge. Outside, some students begin waking up. One complains loudly he almost beat his enemy, but fell short. Another layman's being defeated. The 5th level of the lowest difficulty is already very tough, because it requires beating a rank 1 creature at stage 6. Still, some students are managing to clear the challenge, which fills a few background characters with envy. Then they notice something important. One of the stages now displays the cruel claw beast. Students rush closer to the origin stone because they know this monster is rank 2. It doesn't take long for them to realize that challenge belongs to our protagonist, who is in the superior difficulty, and he's already reaching the final battle. Finally, our boy reaches the last level. Outside, the background characters try to understand how he can be this strong. One of them recalls every top student and still has no idea who our protagonist even is. Then, the cousin's eyes finally open. She cleared her challenge and will now become a beast hammer apprentice. She immediately wants to know what happened to our boy, realizing that all the other students have gathered to watch something interesting unfold. After realizing our boy has already reached the final stage of the superior difficulty, his cousin becomes convinced he's incredible, but no one can identify the creature that appeared for him. A saber-toothed lion already ranked to stage 5. It's practically impossible for any candidate to defeat a beast like that. Inside the arena, though, our boy finally feels like he has a real opponent. Several ice spikes are fired toward the lion, but the creature dodges effortlessly. That speed puts our protagonist on high alert, especially when the lion's claws come for him. The strike is so precise it almost cuts Popsicle's neck. The professor is dying to know if our boy has some new trick up his sleeve, because at this point he's becoming genuinely incredulous at the kid's potential. The massive lion approaches slowly. Even though Popsicle is 1 stage above it, the difference in raw strength is brutal. Unfortunately, Popsicle is no longer at full power after so many consecutive battles. If he's careless this time, he could lose if the lion is completely determined. As the 2 creatures clash again, our boy realizes he needs the perfect opening. After telling Popsicle to stay ready, he finally finds it and orders her to attack. Several ice spears hit the lion's body, but Popsicle is exhausted. Outside, everyone wonders what happened because it looks like a draw. Only then do they notice that, even wounded, the lion is getting up again. The professor starts wondering when you're going to subscribe and like the video to help explore the artistic part of this world in Cosmic Manhwa. And also don't forget part 2, which is coming soon in Cosmic Manhwa.